My name is Suchad Chiaranussati. I'm a chairman and founder of SC Capital Partner, and I will spend a couple of minutes telling you what about SC Capital Partner and what we do here. SC Capital Partner, private equity funds, headquartered in Singapore. We have an opportunistic fund. We also have a core plus open-end fund, as well running two REIT in Asia Pacific. Particularly of your interest will be the J-REIT in Japan or Japan Hotel Resort. In that REIT, we have 41 hotel in that REIT, and then it's actually run by a team in Japan, our team in Japan. What the impact of the COVID on hospitality sector in Asia? Generally speaking, it really kind of decimated the businesses because the restriction on the traveling between different countries and also the border restriction that have been put in place had stopped the flow of our guests basically. So the result of that have been pretty hard hit on the hospitality sector. I think, but different countries hit differently. Some country that had a domestic travel businesses and industry, then they feel less impactful. For example, in China, where the population base is large, they will feel less impactful. But in some country where the foreign guests, international travel, make up a significant part of the customer base, then that has been really, really badly affected. So, for example, like Thailand, where we used to have a 40 million visitor a year, and then now drop down to probably less than 50,000. That is really, really quite impactful to that. So I think different countries impacted differently. The other element of it is also the government providing some form of assistance that will help to soften the blow. Again, different countries had different ability in order to provide assistance to the hospitality sector, and the result of that, so some countries have provided owner have with more help. Some countries that not provide any help at all, so the impact is quite differently. To the outlook of the hospitality sector in Asia in the short term, medium, and long term, I like to probably put it in that sequences. In the short term, we continue to suffer. I don't think so. I do believe that the government around Asia Pacific particularly are very concerned seeing the situation in North America as well as situation in Europe and also Latin America and Africa. I think the government in Asia Pacific is extremely nervous about allowing the pandemic to run at an infection rate at a higher rate. So I think what they have done is they have restricted the movement and also the opening of the business in Asia Pacific, and also the cross-border traveling is still continue to be very restricted. So in the short term, I don't see any differences between what we're going to be seeing the next 3 months versus the whole 2020. So we still have a very low level of businesses, and so I think all hotel business will need to adjust it, the expenditure, adjusting the staff level, and also adjusting the marketing budget as well and maintain the hotel in a good condition. Some hotel may still subject to closure, so I do believe that the hotel that's subject to closure will continue to close up until probably the month of April or May this year. It's also depending on the seasonality of different market. Some market happen to hit into a very low season in the month of April or May, so they may not open until September. I think this is dependent on the different market at different seasonality. So short term, and no significant different from 2020. I do believe that those that need to be closed will continue to be closed, and that those that open will continue to have very low occupancy. In the medium term, we start talking about to the second half of this year and probably the first half of 2022. I do believe that I call that the year of recovery. I do believe that the vaccine rollout, the program, maybe differently in different countries, but by the second half of this year, toward the end of 2021, many countries would have seen a significant amount of vaccine being distributed and used among the population, and so creating a certain degree of confidence for people to travel. So I think the medium term, I would say, it's still business, still going to be very slow, but there will be some businesses. And in the long term, I do see the travel market going to come back to at least 90% of what we were pre-COVID, and we are talking about probably year 2022 to 2023, the full recovery probably toward the middle of 2023. That is the scenario that I have. So the short term, why not that much different? Some need to close; they continue to be closed. In the medium term, we are going to the recovery mode. The business may come down to about somewhere between 40 to 60% of pre-COVID level, and then it wouldn't be until the second half of 2022 that you see the business going back to about 80-90% of the pre-COVID level. And therefore, I mean, I would appeal to a lot of hotel owner and operator. In my opinion, that's how I think it's going to be the case. We can always be surprised at the upside because the stimulus, the economic stimulation from the government, as well as the positive impact from vaccination could surprise us. And if that surprises us, we probably are not complaining. But in order to plan for the business plan and to realistic plan, that would have been my scenario analysis. I do see tremendous opportunity in hospitality class of asset in Asia Pacific. Every time we went through the crisis, starting at 1997 Asian crisis, which is very specific to Asia Pacific, and also the global crisis in 2007, 2008, a little bit more widespread. This one, I would say, closer to the global financial crisis rather than Asian crisis. So I think in that sense, we do believe that what's going to happen is you're going to see the supply pipeline will be restricted. And I think some of the projects that kind of on the margin probably will be canceled. So you will see that probably supply will come down. And I think to me, when demand at some point in time probably will recover. Opportunity today, the difficulty part when you evaluate today opportunity is that you're going to go into some situation. Then you can look at the hotel operational performance, and you're going to find that not only it's in the negative territory, which means that today, even you invest in a hotel, you're not just pay for the hotel, you also need to pay for the negative cash flow over the next 12 to 18 months. And that negative cash flow element of it will be the one that really creating a lot of difficulty in negotiating for it. I think the seller will always say, no, that's your responsibility, the buyer said this is your responsibility. So the gap of the valuation will continue to be wide on that basis. But I think the way I look at it, if you could buy something at a certain yield that you're happy of, that on the opportunistic return basis, you can buy something on a pre-COVID number with a certain yield, NOI yield. I think based upon today valuation, pricing, cash flow, I think you should be able to make some decent return when the market recover. So, for example, if let's say you set pre-COVID numbers at a certain performance, because that's historical, that actual, do that statistic and work out a yield from somewhere 8 to 10%, and you said, oh, some market, this is a market of 10%, this is a market of 8%, and based upon that, and then work out what the valuation. Today, it may look like a negative number, but at some point in time, that negative number can go away, turn positive again. So I think important not to go and really try to, really just galvanizing the seller, and there's no point. I think it's important to treat them with respect, and then reason, explain, and go through it. But the opportunity is plentiful. And for me, to me, two markets that very exciting for me was actually Thailand and Japan for different reasons. Thailand is a market where you have 14 million guests. Today, it's almost zero. So the impact was substantial. And as a result of that, in terms of valuation, in terms of expectation of the pricing, probably a bit more realistic. Japan market is totally different. Impact is the same, but totally different. I think Japan market today, you'll be looking at about 25, 30 million visitors, but the potential much, much bigger than that. So I think the Japanese tourism market, Japanese hospitality is still a long way to go. So I think one is recognizing the Thailand recognizing the fact that they used to 40 million visitors and now pretty much zero. And the other market is that we have 25 million visitors. These 25 million, 30 million visitors should be going to 40, 50, 60 million in year to come. So it's a different type of market, but this would be the two market I would expecting. The other market, slightly smaller, Bali, Maldives, and all that, and even Australia to some extent. I think it just depends on the opportunity you can get. I'm always said when you have a crisis, if you can go to the major markets, Sydney, Melbourne, and you can go to Hong Kong, you can go to Seoul, you can go to Tokyo, you can go to Bangkok, you can go to Singapore, whatever major metropolitan city, and be able to buy something at decent value. You will normally never regretted it. That would have been, I would say, the opportunity. But the two top opportunity for me is Thailand and actually Japan. In conclusion, I say be very thankful for the opportunity to be able to share some of our thought with you. We can be wrong, so please do not take what we say. You need to also making sure the sign help you, so the data, the statistic, the numbers. You can always approach us and talk to us. We do see opportunity around, and if you come to us, we wouldn't be the type of organization to tell you, no, this is secret, I don't need to talk to you, and I just keep it to myself. I believe in sharing. I believe in discussing with people, sharing information, and sharing knowledge and all that. I think it's a good thing. The industry is very large, so no one going to be dominate the industry. I think it's important to realize that we are playing a very large industry. So the result of that, the word I've said is just be humble in your approach.